I just put a second mortgage on my trailer because I've been buying all them tools my cousin's been showing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not all of us woodworkers is rich.
Well, I think you're going to be happy about today because we've got 4 tools under $25 that I guarantee you're going to want for your shop.
Tits.
You guessed it, last week I was back to pounding the internet, Googling deep, actually Amazoning deep, trying to find some affordable tools. You see, $25 really doesn't get you that much anymore. In fact, I can't even go to a fast food restaurant with my family and spend less than $50.
Hell, I spend that much at KFC just on myself.
I don't doubt it. Maybe that's where all your money's going. But today, we're going to save you a little bit of money by taking a look at these 4 tools under $25. And I tell you what, it wasn't easy finding these tools, but I think I found some winners in here, so let's start to dig into them. Birdie boy, that's your cue. Where are you at?
What do you mean? Making friends, of course. What are you doing?
Maybe tools aren't where your money's going.
You can't buy much for $1 anymore these days, but you sure can here.
Just toss me that next tool.
This little guy? Of course, here you go.
So this is the 5-piece countersink bit. Let's take a quick look at it. So we all know that the gold standard of countersink bits is the Amana countersink bit, but if you want to get a 5-piece set from Amana, you're going to be paying well over $100. But this 5-piece set is only a fraction of that, coming in at just over $21 at the timing of this video. So let's dig into this and see everything that comes with it. First off, I want to talk about the case. It's got a nice protective hard shell case, and if we flip it around, it even has a little tab that you can hang it on something like a pegboard. Now whoop-de-doo, it's got a protective case that you can hang on a pegboard, but for me, this is a really important feature. Honestly, one of the most misplaced drill bits in my shop are my countersink bits. In fact, my Amana bit is MIA right now. But let's open this up and see what comes with it. Inside the box, you're going to find 5 pre-sized drill bits as well as a brake attachment and 2 extra brakes. And those pre-sized bits come in the following sizes. You have the 1/8, the 9/64, the 5/32, the 3/16, and the 11/64. And each bit is clearly labeled on the side so that you don't confuse their measurements. Along with those bits, you'll find the brake component as well as the bit holder. And on the bit holder, you'll notice that there's micro measurements both in imperial and metric so that you can set your depth appropriately. So let's assemble this thing so that we can test out its functionality. You'll first slide that drill bit holder into the brake cartridge, and then you can tighten it down with a hex key. Once your drill bit holder is attached to your brake cartridge, you can slide your drill bit into the bit holder. And in the same fashion, you'll lock it down once again with the hex key. And once you have everything attached, this is the time where you'll set the depth of how far you want that countersink to go. By loosening the bolt on the brake cartridge, you can set your depth from 0 all the way up to 1/2 inch. So I'm going to set the depth to 1/4 inch so that we can test the functionality of it. And with everything set, I'm going to chuck this up in my drill and we'll see how it works. And what I'm really looking for here is repeatability and consistency of depth. So I'm going to go on down the line and see what kind of results we get. And if we look at all 5 holes, you can see they're very consistent and have clean cuts. And not only can you set the depth of the countersink, but you can also set the depth of the drill bit itself. By loosening the hex bolt on the bit holder, you can extend your bit as far as it will go, making this countersink bit very flexible for a variety of different lengths of screws. And once you're done, all your pieces pop into place so you know exactly where your countersink bit is for your next project. Well, this is a really nice countersink bit set, especially for the price of just over $21, and I think this is a no-brainer. Well, we're starting off strong, but we've got 3 more tools to take a look at today, so let's dig into our second tool. So I'm getting older, and every year I'm noticing some things are getting more and more difficult to do.
They make pills for that, don't you know?
That's definitely not what I'm talking about. It's my vision, and I've tried a couple of things to combat it. First and foremost, I introduced some bifocal shop safety glasses a couple of years ago, and these work great. I also introduced a new tape measure, which I've absolutely fallen in love with. And it's called the Lufkin Night Eye. This tape measure has one of the most amazing blades that I've ever seen on a tape measure. With its black background and neon writing, I don't think there's a tape measure out there that's easier to read. And these are also only a little bit over $16, so if you haven't gotten one of these, I highly recommend them. But even though those tools are great, that's not the tool we're taking a look at today. The tool that we're taking a look at today is something that I intend to use for layout and setup. So let's dig into our next tool of the day. Bert! Ugh, jeez.
17, hit me!
Are you serious? A casino?
What are you talking about? You can double your money in a place like this.
You can also lose all your money.
Don't you worry about me, cuz I brought my lucky plane.
Just hand me the next item.
You bet, cuz. You know I got you. Here you go.
So this is the Victor Easy Read stainless steel ruler. Let's take a closer look. So just like with the Lufkin tape measure, this ruler is all about clarity of your reading. Now this ruler has a variety of different types of lengths, but for my purpose, I chose the 18-inch. Let's take a close-up look of how this is put together. One of the first things that you'll notice is the stark contrast between the measurements and the background. The ruler contains easy-to-read measurements both in imperial and metric. You'll notice that the bottom side of this ruler is the metric side, and it's got a black background and is 46 centimeters long. And there's millimeter markings in between each centimeter so that you can really dial it in. And the imperial side has a blue background with increments at every 16th of an inch, and you'll notice that each fraction is clearly labeled. But if we look at the last inch of increments on the imperial side, you'll notice that it's broken down even further, as it has 32nd inch increments for the final inch. Another nice feature of the ruler is it does have a hole so that you can hang it for storage. If we flip the ruler around, you'll notice it's got a nice cork backing to prevent slipping. Now there's obviously only so much you can say about a ruler, but this has got to be by far the easiest ruler I've ever seen to read. But I do want to test out the accuracy, so let's grab a woodpecker square and compare the measurements. And if I place this ruler completely flush with the edge of this plywood and place my woodpecker square right up against it, you can hopefully see that these two measuring devices read exactly the same. And here's another view using the inside of the square where the measurements will once again line up and hopefully remove any parallax. And if you are seeing any variances, it's complete parallax, as this thing is totally accurate. So if you're like me and you're squinting your eyes every single time you need a measurement, this Victor ruler may be the ruler for you. Well, I'm pretty pleased so far. I think we've got 2 winners in the bag and only 2 more items left to take a look at. Before we move on to our third, I ask you to do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and leave a comment. It truly does help out this small woodworking channel. Also, if you're interested in some fun woodworking t-shirts, check out my website, www.flynndogwoodwork.com. Also, if any of the tools we take a look at today interest you, check out the links in the description below so that you can go check them out for yourself. But most importantly, thanks for watching and I appreciate you being here. Now let's move on to our third tool. Our third tool of the day is an item I realized would come in handy when I was building this bench. Specifically when I was installing things like my door hinges and my drawer slides and trying to get my impact driver into tight spots. Now for some of us, we may only have an inch, but a lot of times that's just not enough. Sometimes we need just a little bit more length to get into those tight spots, and sometimes we need a lot of length. And this is a tool that I've seen on Amazon for a couple of years now, so I thought I'd get one and give it a try. So let's see if this item is any good. Bert! Oh boy.
Hold up, I gotta get these gift cards before they turn off my power.
Dude, that's a scam.
Pretty sure it's legit. He said he was from the FBI.
Have you ever paid your power bill with gift cards?
Don't you worry, cuz I'll pick you up something too.
You're hopeless. Just hand me the next tool.
This here? You got it.
So this next item is the 4-piece drill bit extension kit. Let's take a quick look. So the reason that I got this kit was because of the variety of extensions that came with it. Everything from a small one to a long one. And as I said earlier, there's 4 of these bad boys. There's a 60mm, a 100mm, a 150mm, as well as a 300mm. And all of these extensions accept 1/4-inch hexagonal driver bits. If we look at the base of the extensions, you'll notice that they have a hexagonal base along with a little divot. It's this little divot that will allow them to fit in your impact driver's quick change clamp. This means that you can quickly lock these extensions into your impact driver simply by pulling out on the tab. Not only can you lock the extension to your impact driver, but you can also lock your bit to the extension. By pulling back on the red tip of the extension, you can easily slide your bit into the extension and lock it into place. And not only are the tips on the extension locking, but they're also magnetic, holding your bit into place. Now one thing that's really important when using extensions is making sure that it's balanced. If an impact driver extension is not balanced, you'll see a large wobble at the very end of the extension. This will make the tool useless as you have zero control over that bit. So let's test out the balance of this extension kit by placing the longest extension into that impact driver. And the longest one is once again about 300mm, or just about 12 inches. And if I squeeze the trigger on the impact driver, you can see there's very little wobble on the very end of the extension, which is really quite remarkable given the length of this extension. And all of the other extensions have almost identical results. Well, I'm super happy I got this extension kit. I think it's well worth the money, especially at under $10. I know for sure it's going to make my life a heck of a lot easier next time I go to install some cabinets. Well, we're almost there. Only one more tool left to take a look at today, and this last tool is one that I'm quite excited about. And this last tool is a hand tool that's made by a brand I've never heard of before. You see, even if you're a power tool junkie like myself, you're inevitably going to run into a situation where you're going to have to use a good old-fashioned saw. And I've taken a look at quite a few of these in the past. Probably one of the most popular brands on Amazon is a brand called Soizan. Now, I've also introduced you to a brand called Cutterhead, and these are a great alternative to Soizan. And lastly, I've even taken a look at a Harbor Freight version. And this last tool we're going to take a look at claims to have the quality of a Soizan at the price of a Harbor Freight. But let's check it out and see if its claims are accurate. Bert, oh boy.
Shake Weight is the flab-busting breakthrough that trims your arms and shapes
I think I need one of these.
You definitely don't need one of those.
It's just 5 easy payments.
Yeah, but the total price is all 5 of those payments.
You just don't know a good deal when you see one.
Never mind, just give me the next tool.
Of course I got you, cuz. Here you go.
So this next item is the Ruitool Japanese flush cutting pull saw. Let's check it out. So I expect that this Ruitool pull saw will be fairly similar to the Cutterhead that we took a look at a couple of years ago. And if we take the Ruitool out of the box, you can see that it has a fairly similar size, but the blade is a different shape. The Cutterhead is tapered wider at the top, while the Ruitool is tapered wider at the bottom. Now this Ruitool retails for $19.99, which is a great deal for a Japanese pull saw. If we look at the teeth on the blade, you'll notice that there's 2 different configurations on either side. One side is more aggressive at 14 teeth per inch for rip cuts, while the other side is less aggressive at 17 teeth per inch for cross cuts. Now there's something that came in the packaging that I usually like to save for saws like this. Now many people may throw these blade guards away, but I like to save them and place them on the saw when not in use. It just extends the life of the saw. The next thing that I want to take a look at is the ability to bend the blade for flush cutting. And this saw is quite flexible at up to 60 degrees. But I want to do a couple of quick tests with this saw. Let's first do a cross cut with the saw, and then let's flush cut some dowels. First up is the cross cut, and I'm cutting into some white oak, and I'll have to say the cut is effortless. There's very little work that needs to be done here, and I'm just adding a little bit of pressure to the saw. And once I'm finished with the cuts, you can see the results are quite nice. Now let's flush cut a couple of dowels that I've sunk into some plywood to see how well that works. Now the reason I sunk these dowels into this plywood is I wanted to see if the saw would break through the veneer of the plywood. And once again, the cutting of these dowels was effortless. And with no protection on the wood, you can see those dowels are perfectly flush and there's very little scarring on the wood. Well, I don't know about you, but those results are well in line with the functionality that I need from a flush trim saw. And I really like the length of this saw at 6 inches. I think that's the sweet spot for a saw like this. Well, this is one of those videos where I'm super pleased with all the tools we've taken a look at today. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I purchased all these tools with my own money. And all these tools are tools that I need and will get some real life experience on upcoming projects in my shop. So thanks again for joining me today, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and leave a comment. It truly does help out this small woodworking channel. Also, if any of these 4 tools interest you, just like with all my videos, I'll leave links in the description below so that you can go check them out for yourself. Lastly, check out my website, www.flynndogwoodwork.com. There you can find out ways you can support the channel and see a lot of the t-shirts that I create for these videos. Until next time, take care as always.
I knew I should have bought more gift cards. It's dark in here.